the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, or TESDA, Director General Secretary Kiko Benitez.
Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Thank you, Carla, for that introduction. I'd like to give my respects, first of all, to greet Executive Director Ria Matute, Deputy Executive Director Lucky Lopez of the Design Center of the Philippines, Thomas Garvey of the World Design Organization, Dean Harvey Vasquez of the De La Salle School of Environment and Design, to my fellow speakers and panelists, Professor Felipe De Leon, and the ever inspiring Paulo Mercado, and to all our partners, our collaborators, and change makers present today and listening. Isang malikhain at magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Congratulations to the Design Center of the Philippines. Ang ganda ng at timely na talakayang ito. Thank you for bringing designers, creatives, students, and policymakers together to talk about something we don't always get to talk about enough. But such as how can design shape not just our economy, but also our society and our culture? How can it be about, in fact, designing quality of life? And what I really appreciate is how this conversation is grounded in values, in Filipino values, na hindi lang ito tungkol sa galing or aesthetics, pero sa design na may puso, may malasakit, may saysay, design na marunong makipagkapwa. Design that is in fact proudly Filipino, but also ready to stand on the world stage. And this is in fact a shift in the mindset that I'm glad to be seeing today. And that's why I also want to thank the Design Center for helping us in TESDA reimagine what technical vocational education and training can become in the age of creativity and cultural resurgence. It is that design and through design and creativity that we can leapfrog actually from the second, third, and fourth industrial revolution to the fifth, as we move from a knowledge economy to an affective and attention economy to one that is creative and human-centric innovation economy. Kilala po ang TESDA in training people to work with their hands. But now with the help of the Design Center, we hope to make clear that it also includes the heart and the mind, and not just of the individual, but of community building and community formation as well. We are moving from training for skills and teaching people how to produce towards actually teaching them how to imagine, how to solve problems, and how to create value that is rooted in their culture, community, and identity. Design thinking, after all, teaches us that to solve complex problems in this VUCA world, we must begin not with answers, but with questions. And questions grounded, in fact, on empathy and community. That means understanding the needs, aspirations, and contexts of people before designing or proposing solutions. And this is the very heart of what ethical development should look like. Because in this new economy, creativity is not just for artists or designers. It's the mindset. And when our welders, our weavers, our coders, our hairdressers, our farmers start to think like designers, when they begin to see challenges as opportunities and work as a form of expression, that's when real transformation happens. Because our Filipino concept of Kapwa, as Dr. De Leon has discussed and has been discussing, in fact, for quite a while, is not abstract. It is an actionable mindset that we can integrate into our development initiatives to ensure that development, in fact, has an address, a site, a place, and development has an has a face, has a specific person or community involved, that it is, in fact, ultimately about people and communities and the quality of their lives and the culture that binds them together. Kapwa is a call to design our policies and training with malasakit, to create them in such a way na may puso, to be malikain, madiskarte, to build with care, mabusisi, and to do all this with excellence or mahusay. I would like to remind and suggest to all of us that TVET is actually a type of learning. It is not a trade. That at heart has three components. The first, it's hands-on, using tools and technologies as a way to relate to the world. Second, it is at base experiential embodied learning. And third, it is experiential embodied learning that is kinesthetic and based on practice with repetitive cycles, so that in fact over time and through practice one improves. That is why design thinking fits actually so naturally into TESDA's evolving mission. Because what is TVET if not a platform to design better things and better lives? Through making and creating things and reiterating the process of making, of designing, we respond to the changing terrains of a complex system and the problems that we are trying to solve. Some of you may know that before I was appointed to TESDA, I served as the congressman of the 3rd District of Negros Occidental, as I was introduced. And I'm proud to say that even then, we were already thinking about how to support the creative economy structurally. During the height of the pandemic, I worked with Congressman Toff de Venecia and the designer of the Philippine Creative Industries Development Act, Mr. Paulo Mercado, who actually instructed the entire Economic Affairs Committee of Congress what a creative industry actually is and was. I worked with them in the long and meticulous process of crafting the Creative Industries Development Act. We made sure that every domain was represented because we knew that creativity was not a niche, but it was the soul of the Filipino economy. Creativity, understood as kapwa and malasakit, is the competitive advantage of a Filipino. That law gave birth to the Creative Industries Development Council and the Creative Industries Development Office under the DTI, and the flagship initiatives like Malikaing Pinoy and Tatak Pinoy, which again at base is designed for and as pakikipagkapwa. In the 19th Congress, we also passed the new Heritage Act into law, which now mandates all LGUs to conduct cultural mapping, giving them both the responsibility and the opportunities to take ownership as well as take stock of their local heritage. This includes not only the preservation of built heritage structures and landmarks, but also intangible heritage, our songs, our stories, our ways of thinking and doing, our rituals, our languages, our culinary traditions, and other cultural expressions that define who we are as Filipinos. We also filed for the circular economy framework to create a more green economy and to push what is now in TESDA called a green TVET transition. At the heart of all of this, of course, is, as already been mentioned by Paulo, creative placemaking. The idea that we can transform our ordinary places into thriving hubs of creativity, culture, and commerce. Because at the heart of it, what we're really trying to do is help communities tell their stories, reclaim their spaces, and turn those spaces into centers of culture, creativity, and identity. And to have a manifestation, if you like, of the aspirations for a kind of quality of life that all Filipinos deserve. Creative placemaking means that development doesn't just come from the outside. It's rooted in local voices, local materials, and local heritage. It is how we make sense of where we live and the communities of which we are a part. And a crucial part of creative placemaking is, after all, education and training. And this is where TESDA and our LGUs come in. In TESDA, we have what we call area-based and demand-driven TVET. Our communities and our local governments need to first ask, ano ba ang meron sa atin? Ano ba ang ating cultural assets, creative strengths, and local industries? Only then can we prioritize, invest in, and develop the kinds of training that truly make sense, training that uplifts not just lives, but also identity and local pride. For example, our planning office has identified rising national demand for creative sector programs like visual graphic design, weaving, beauty care services, photography, events management, and so on. But of course, these may not be the priority skills needed in Palawan or in Davao or in any specific locality. That's why localized skills mapping for us is essential, so that we know what each region actually needs and what each region can actually offer. Equally important is working closely with industry partners. Sila ang tunay na nakakaalam kung ano ang kailangan nila sa industriya, sa field. And through our industry TVET boards, we co-create training regulations and curricula aligned with real-world creative practice. So far, we've established, among others, for example, the Printing Industry Board Foundation. The Animation Council of the Philippines is an industry TVET board. The Game Developers Association of the Philippines. And soon we are launching new boards for fashion and for furniture. But we need more, obviously. And we need you, your expertise, your insights, your voice, so we can shape training that truly supports the creative economy. Kaya excited po talaga ako with our potential still, EDRIA, partnership with the Design Center, which I really hope we can sign next week, 2 weeks from now. I am glad that the Design Center is just as eager to collaborate with us on establishing a skills framework for design. Sana maplansya na natin lahat ng detalya so that we can in fact move forward. With a skills framework for the design industry, we'll be able to identify what jobs are out there, what skills are in demand now, and what will be needed in the future. Importante ho sa TESDA ang skills framework, hindi lang dahil sa TESDA, kundi ang skills framework rin ang magiging basihan po ng aming alignment with K-12 and with CHED. This way, everyone from artists to employers can speak the same skills language. It'll help us to train better, work smarter, and make Filipino creatives even more competitive on the global stage. I am also very excited that the Design Center will help us integrate both design thinking and systems thinking into our training framework. When pushed through, these approaches will be piloted in our soon-to-be established regional training and innovation centers, which will be in every region in the country. And we are also looking into micro-credentials for design across all skills and industrial domain, so that we have a sense of the disruptive and innovative capacity of design thinking in improving skills training, product design, process design across the country. Kasi hindi lang ito dagdag na subject sa training. It is about rethinking how we teach, how we build our curriculum, and how we co-create our communities. Okay, to give a concrete example, we are developing modular training programs where learners working on furniture making, for example, won't just learn how to create furniture. They'll be guided through a design thinking process where they identify a community need, ideate solutions, and prototype sustainable options for furniture. This kind of fusion of hands-on learning with creative and critical thinking is what we wish to disseminate across many sectors. We also plan to launch programs that explore sustainable design, green TVET, circular economy principles and regeneration, and culturally rooted innovation aligned with the standards set, in fact, by the NCCA and DTI. We will be embedding intellectual property rights modules in all design-related TVET courses, so our learners, especially artists and creators, understand how to protect their work, as recommended, in fact, by Mr. Paulo Mercado. We are exploring micro-credentials in creative fields. Dahil ang bilis ng takbo ng creative world ngayon, may AI na, for example. Kung ano-anong digital tools ang lumalabas, tapos todo agawan pa ng atensyon sa social media. Kung artista ka, kailangan mong sumabay at hindi madaling makipagsabayan sa AI. The question is, how do we keep pace? How do we stay relevant? How do we understand it as a tool, and one for which or into which human creativity and community building is still its ethical direction? One smart answer is micro-credentials. Think of them like Lego blocks, bite-sized learning that is quick, focused on skills in areas like editing, animation, design, digital design, music production. In TESDA, these micro-credentials could be a unit of competency, a cluster of competencies, or even a full training regulations, leading to certificates of achievement, certificates of training, certificates of competencies, or a national certificate. The real power of micro-credentials lie in what I call the 3 S's: speed, stackability, and seamlessness. We hope our new micro-credentials program will help creatives stay sharp, stay current, and stay in the game, especially for gig economy freelancers, self-employed creatives, and people who are in between formal jobs but want to keep on growing and keep on learning. Micro-credentials can help us in our harmonization with DepEd and CHED, as well as help push lifelong learning even outside the formal education system. They are helping us ladderize and embed skills clearly and provide seamless exits and entrances for career pathways and progressions. And they are helping us combine the Philippine qualifications framework with the Philippine skills framework for a clearer lifelong learning journey. And in a way, this is part of transforming skills and mindsets towards creativity and embedding design as a culture across the country. So higit sa lahat then, we are expanding our curriculum to include indigenous crafts and intangible heritage. Not to lock these traditions in a museum, but to let them breathe, grow, and evolve through education and training. For example, we are partnering with Patis Tesoro to offer dressmaking and embroidery training for Filipinos in slow fashion, to create traditional barot sayas using local textiles like abaca, pinya, and husi with natural dyes. In Mindoro, we are working hand in hand with 4 Mangyan tribes through a co-collaboration on basketry and weaving. This is not a one-sided approach where TESDA teaches, nor is it about copying indigenous techniques. Rather, it is a mutual partnership. We aim to strengthen traditional weaving practices, not by replacing their ancestral methods, but by enhancing quality and durability while preserving the full cultural integrity of their craft. In Bohol, we are collaborating with the Eskaya community in a co-teaching model. They are teaching us their native script, language, and oral history, while we support them with basic literacy, numeracy, and the comprehensive documentation of the Eskaya language. It's a two-way learning process grounded in respect, inclusion, and cultural empowerment. All of these, I believe, are living examples of Kapwa in action, co-creating communities, not for them. And it's about walking alongside, listening deeply, and building together. Because ultimately, our goal is to empower the next generation, not just to preserve heritage, but to carry it forward with empathy, creativity, and education at the core. Because this, in the end, is our competitive advantage on the global stage. Policies alone, however, are not enough. Programs, government programs alone are not enough. Industry boards alone are not enough. As has already been repeated many times this morning, we need a new kind of mindset to truly bring these policies, programs, and partnerships to life. And that mindset is exactly at heart what design thinking demands. To be able to iterate and involve users, in our case, learners, artisans, employers, and communities into everything that we create. Policy and training that is inclusive, participatory, sustainable, environmentally sustainable, and deeply human-centered. Because as we co-design these programs, we are reshaping what it means to be a skilled Filipino creative in the 21st century. Design thinking reminds us to listen deeply, define clearly, ideate boldly, prototype quickly, test, learn, improve, and always, always return to a user. This is, in fact, the cycle of experiential learning. After all, skills in the 21st century are not just for employment, but for empowerment, for identity, and for nation building. So let us design a future that is ethical, inclusive, sustainable, and full of malasakit. Design for a future for our pakikiisa, pakikipagkapwa. Let us put the human and the human community at the center of our systems and creativity at the core of our development and social transformation. That will be the Filipino promise to the world in terms of our contribution to a global creative economy. Let us build a society where every community is empowered to tell its own story, to provide and shape processes, images, forms, objects that define what and who we are because, as they say, we is greater than me. Where every artisan, designer, and creator has a place in shaping our shared future. Walang imposible, basta tulong-tulong. And like we always say in TESDA, basta't sama-sama sa TESDA, kayang-kaya. Maraming salamat po at mabuhay ang malikhaing Pilipino.